Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Misfits Racing League channel. My name is Striffy, I'm here from Canada, and joining me as always for Tier 2 racing action, Unicorn. How you doing?
Well, I'm pretty excited for this one, Striff. It's a tricky circuit, Vietnam, and well, it's always a pretty interesting race to spectate and watch as these drivers navigate this very difficult and very tight street circuit in Vietnam. So I'm looking forward to this one.
23 turns around Vietnam. It is, well, we've seen two races around here so far. Alex Bitto and I, yesterday for Tier 3 action, we watched a fantastic race. No safety cars, no VSCs. It was quite something, to say the least. And America's had the exact same situation. No safety cars in there either. So maybe we'll have to see. We'll just have to see what we get here for Tier 2 racing action. Of course, round 3 today, Vietnam. Next week, we head on over to Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. Following that, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, as well as Canada for round 9. Then we move over to round 10, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, as well as Russia and Japan. And then the last 4 races of the season, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and then Abu Dhabi for the finale. So it's a very good season of racing we've got ahead of us. Vietnam is just one of the many great stops along that route, and we'll take a look at the standings as we make our way into round 3. It is Neon presently leading the championship here in Tier 2. Hurricane, second position in the Ferrari, and then we have Crampy in the Alfa Romeo, your top 3. McLaren leading this championship right now with 40 points exactly, so Neon doing a little bit of the work down there at McLaren. Henner is not yet to score a point. Alfa Romeo 39 there in second. Ferrari is actually third, so Hurricane and Crampy, although they are second, third, it is the flip side for the constructors. And with all of that being said, we're just about ready to go racing here. Just a quick disclaimer, we may have a little bit of technical difficulty if yesterday hits us the same way it did in qualifying, but we have a little bit of well, we're prepared for it this time. We know exactly what to do if it should happen again. So, well, Unicorn, you participated in that race yesterday, Tier 3 action. You have a driver's eye view of what to expect, and why don't you give us an idea of what exactly we're going to be seeing today?
Yeah, today it's like I said, it's a tricky track, but you said it yourself. We didn't see any safety cars yesterday, and that has come to a surprise to a lot of people in the community. And really, I was expecting one. I think that a lot of people were planning for one, and that goes into your plan for the strategy. So, for example, yesterday I started on the hards. That is not something I thought we were going to see anyone here do. It was a huge mistake on my behalf, and the hards around here are super slow, but early safety cars, maybe that's what we factor for. But we haven't seen any. So I think that yesterday's 2 races, without having seen a safety car, is going to be playing on the drivers' minds today. As, everyone just seems to be taking it pretty cautiously, it would seem. And, well, the racing wasn't, by any means bad. There was plenty of battling going on, just weren't any safety cars. So I imagine that we're going to see a lot of soft mediums, a lot of medium softs, and as little usage of the hards as possible, because I don't think people are going to be planning as much as they would have been yesterday for a safety car strip.
Something else we haven't seen really wrench itself into a dynamic for either of the 2 races is weather. Hanoi, a race that I have seen to have a little bit of a weather dynamic play in it throughout the races I've seen here, and I haven't seen that yet. We've got 5 races this week. This is the 3rd. This is that middle race before Tier 1 and APAC, and this is probably one of the most competitive grids we have in the Misfits Racing League. So it is a very intense race. A lot of drivers doing a lot of preparation. Realistically, as soon as they finish this race, they're moving in to prepare for the next round. It looks like we have a little bit of doom and gloom here in the clouds, but no raindrops. We'll have to see what the weather report is. Someone, I'm sure, will give us a heads up. But of course, let us know if there's any issues with the stream as you see it right now. But we can take a look and say this. Let's take a look at who's at the grid. Why don't you take us through the 20 drivers lining up today, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, on the top of that timing tower, it's Scars at the moment. Then we have Azir, Kai Bacchini in the Mercedes, Relax in the Racing Point, Jake in the Red Bull, the other Racing Point, helmed by Jones, Adrian in 7th on the timing tower at the moment, Swifty J in the Red Bull, Crampy in the other Alfa Romeo. Rackety in P10, XTXP in the other Renault quarters in the Haas, Liam in the AlphaTauri, Henners, Aliens, Weltering, Hurricane, Mammal, Neon, and Darian Alfie rounds out a full grid. All full-time drivers are here for Vietnam. You love to see it, and well, everyone in these early stages still fighting for what is a pretty close battle for the top spots in the Drivers' Championship. We've just got 4 points between the two leaders, and well, Crampy's won a race as well, and he's in third right now. Only 4 points ahead of Kybachini, so there's a lot on the line. No clear favourite, I don't think, for anyone to be that WDC, so everyone just attending every race to try and maximise their point scoring, and everyone in the combined constructors on their teams will be happy with the attendance today.
Yeah, it's been a full grid all season, realistically, and you love to see that participation with the combined constructors. It's not just a team of 2, it's a team of 10, and everybody's pushing for that common goal, working with one another, race engineering coming into play, I can't say that. I'm not even going to try right now. Strategy comes into play. I was going to go for the bigger word there, but we're struggling. Not going to lie. But Adrian right now, we'll see how he goes on his first lap as he comes out through the penultimate turn of Hanoi. Why don't you take us through it, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, 23 turns, and Adrian steaming down towards the first of them in the Haas DRS Open as he comes through into turn 1. Then you get this long right-hander, and, well, Adrian struggling a little bit of traction, but he manages to navigate his way through turns 2. That's turn 3, and now 4 down onto one of many huge straights here at Vietnam. Absolutely flying down towards turn 6, obviously fastest sector 1. Making sure to stay valid, but he's taking just a little bit too much through turn 6 there. Really put him off angle for turn 7, so a little bit deep from him won't be the best line that he would have been hoping for. But now, again, another huge straight separated by the slight right-hander of turn 10, but it looks like Adrian has already dropped this lap, not happy with how he performed through that roundabout section there. So I think it's Henners now leading the charge down towards the hairpin. A very, very good overtaking spot, probably the best on the track. Turn 11 out through 12, and the McLaren driver now steaming into the final sector down through turn 13, and then the very tight-walled section of sector 3. Pretty much impossible to overtake through here, but it has been done, and he's clipped the wall there on the inside strip. And, well, no damage on the McLaren. Luckily for him, at least nothing visible. He might have scuffed the front right of that wing, but he's going to continue on for the lap. You can see there, ERS actually maxed out as he comes across the line and opens us up with a 134 flat.
A good time from Henry to get things going. A little bit of a shaky lap from him, so he's not going to be able to, well, Neon Jones really kind of showing him he missed out when Neon comes through with a 33-1. The McLaren's showing well so far here. Jones splits them in the Racing Point. It was a Racing Point that took the win here yesterday. Much like last week, the same story. Rutanius now, Tier 3, back-to-back drives, taking victory in the Racing Point team. So Jones is going to do what he can to get through here for the team here. They have really, really come out strong in the beginning. Kybachini says hello. He's come across in the Mercedes. He is a 133.758 on this grid at the moment. Lots of drivers still yet to set times here. Azir currently on an invalidated run. He sprints into the pit lane, and another driver who has just come across to set times was XTXP in the Renault, a 134.754. I know he is looking to get some points for the Renault squad today as well, and well, you'll have the inside track on all that.
Yeah, yesterday, double points finish. We'll be looking for more of that, but it's Crampy right now, flying down into the hairpin, and, well, he'll be looking for points to try and cement himself back into those top few spots he won, obviously, earlier on in the series. But Neon last week, not only has the Racing Points been strong so far, but the Dutch squad as well, winning what I think was 3, if not 4. Although, as there's a McLaren off there as Crampy comes through. It's not Hennes, it's Neon. I don't know if he was just letting him pass or whether he had crashed into someone, no damage, so I think he had just parked to get out of Crampy's way. But Crampy coming through the penultimate turn into turn 23, gracing the wall just slightly, but it's P2 for the young Brit, a 1:33.3.
Nice time from him. Relax right now. Was going to check in with the other Racing Point, but he has come into the pit lane. Aliens in the Williams. He has just crossed down the long straight. We'll see what he's able to do here. Most of these drivers now on in laps or out laps. A few drivers in the pit lane yet to set times.
Yeah, and it's a fairly long track, so not too much margin for error. You can see we've only done one run and we're already approaching what will be the 10-minute mark by the time that most of these guys get back onto their next flying lap. So really only time for 3 solid runs. Also, you don't really need much more than that, but a crash around here and you have to limp round to the end of the pit stop can cost you a lot of time. So that's why I think we're seeing a lot of these drivers dive into the pits after not doing their best first lap, because they just want to get back out as quickly as possible on a fresh set of tyres. It's really such a long circuit, obviously over 1.5 minutes for a lap around here. Compared to somewhere like Austria, you get a lot more time. Aliens, P7 and 1:34.3.
One thing to note is Hurricane there in the Ferrari P3 right now. Darian Alfie, his teammate, is on an out lap, and we'll see what Darian's able to do. The Ferraris coming into a little bit of trouble last week. We saw through Tier 1 and Tier 2, Darian taking 5 penalty points as a result of a collision with Henners last week.
Yeah, tricky situation, but fresh slate, new race, and they'll be looking to rectify what went wrong in the last one. Rackety coming through the roundabout section at the start of Sector 2 before this huge straight. And again, it looks like he might have gone just a little deep, but the curbs there, a lot of the curbs around here, in fact, are pretty aggressive curbs. So if you can't really use them without being as careful as you can be, because, well, they can really upset your car. And that makes certain overtaking spots as well pretty tricky.
Definitely. We saw one turn where there was 2 overtakes back to back. It's this right-hander just coming out of the straight. Right here, we saw 2 major overtakes get onto that outside curbing that Rackety just took, go around the outside because of late lunges into the inside. So it was very neatly done by the 2 drivers we saw do that. I can't remember it at the moment, but it was back to back. Actually, I think it was Squid followed by Dirk Chocolate, if I'm not mistaken. They pulled those moves off one lap after another, and it was quite something to see. Rackety now struggling out of the final turn here, but it will be good enough for 12th position here so far. One thing to talk about is the gaps, and we saw in Bahrain how tight this grid was. Less than a second separating this entire grid. Oh, Rackety, as we just check on with the times, he's had an issue outside of turn 1. A McLaren is coming through. He's looking the wrong way. Henry comes through to begin a flyer, and Rackety gets things spun back around.
Yeah, the Mercedes, Mammal just posting P8 at 1:34.397, just half a tenth of Alien's time. Alien's his teammate, as he's going to post, well, at 1:34.3 as well. Slaps himself slap bang in the middle of the 2, just behind his teammate. Darian Alfie in the Ferrari. He's just come out of the hairpins, turn 11 and 12. And he's flying down to that right-hander we were just having that conversation about. Again, taking a little bit of the inside curve, and you can see how it sort of bounced this car. No problem for the Ferrari, but in the race, well, that could be a different story as he flies through the twisty and turning sections of Sector 3, keeping his car nice and controlled, and into the penultimate turn now. Very nice through there. A little bit of wheel spin out of the penultimate turn, but nothing he can't handle. Avoids the wall on exit, and it's P7 for the Scuderia, a 1:34.296. 8 minutes left in the session. It's like relax in the Racing Point. Already pulled off, taken 1 lap back to the pits, but this time flying through Sector 3, and it's going much better for the Racing Point. Through Sector 3, and he's still keeping his car nice and controlled. It's going to be to the line for him this time. He's got time for one more run after this. Clips the inside wall just a little bit, though, and avoids the outside wall, and it's P7 for the Racing Point, a 1:34 flat.
Good showing here so far from the Racing Points, especially on the heels of that victory from Rutanius yesterday. And I have to take a second. Massive shout out to Freeware in the chat. Thank you so much for the resub of 8 months and the gifted subs to Squid, Baza, and Pyrat. Thank you very much for the support. As well as to everyone who's following along with the action. Scars has invalidated his run here. Jake in the Red Bull, not too far behind him, is on a purple Sector 2. Yet to set a time is Jake, and he has been one of the front runners as we've seen. So I wonder what we'll see out of Jake for his first run here. Swifty is behind him.
Yeah, only 10 points right now in the championship for Jake, and well, he won't be. Still, Australia will be a little bit fresh in his mind, but it's across the line in P3, and that's a lovely place to put yourself for a potential race win. As his teammate Swifty crosses the line in for P9, I believe, but it might be the fact that they got the glitch there and he's going for a flyer again, or it doesn't look like it. So yeah, 9th place at the moment for Swifty. Still a little bit of time in the session for one more lap for most of these drivers.
Neon increasing his time to a 1:33.048 for pole position here. Crampy getting a tow from Scars. And this could be trouble for the McLarens if Crampy and Scars have anything to say about it here. We just saw some tow action coming out of the AlphaTauris as well. However, it was Liam who got the tow, and he was on an invalidated run. Crampy now out of the hairpin. He's got one other driver to beat. Hurricane in the Ferrari jumps into the front row. A 1:33.177. But right now, Crampy needs to find some time. Will he find enough coming out through Sector 3 here to do anything about the top 2?
Well, that slipstream's definitely going to have aided him, and he's keeping it nice and clean through this final sector. So I don't see why he won't find it. And again, very nice in his final couple of corners. Very nice and tight to the wall, and that's a 1:32.8 strip, and that is a very, very strong time out of Crampy.
That definitely puts the McLarens into an interesting position, considering that was a fantastic lap from Neon. The Ferraris are getting closer as well. What a grid we are starting to see take form here. Big shout out once again. Mr. Freeware is on a roll today. Congratulations to Jean as well, who's received a gifted subscription. Greatly appreciate that, Freeware. Freeware, of course, will be participating in the AlphaTauri tomorrow in Tier 1 racing alongside his teammate Shenjay. So, took P3 last week. Perhaps he will be able to get, on the podium once again.
Jones hasn't been looking too strong at the start of this lap through Sector 1, and now in Sector 2 he's clipped the outside of Turn 9 and lost his end plate, and well, that's not going to bode well for the Racing Point with just 4 minutes remaining in the session. He might just have time for another run if he's got the tyres for it. He should do, but currently in P6, that's not how he wants to go and attack for the front row positions.
This has just been a very unique qualifying. Aliens coming out of the hairpin with a major drift, and a very good job from him to get it caught, because that could have been, that could have gone a complete different way. But he'll be happy we caught it, because I guess he looks good getting it caught. But I don't know if I'd catch that. Into the pit lane he goes.
Yeah, everyone's always impressed when you catch a monumental slide like that, and it really was a big step out from the rear. So the Williams driver into the pit lane to probably just go and do some breathing exercises to calm himself down after that one, and again, should just have enough time to hop out for another lap here.
Rackety, I do believe, is one of the first drivers to begin an active flyer. And of course, he is in the Renault. Currently a 1:35.656 is the time from Rackety. That puts him in 18th position, and as he comes down into Sector 2, he's actually lost time on this lap. We'll see if he's got something to say about that through the next 2 sectors here.
Yeah, and it's also been pointed out in the chat right now that the 2 Williams are looking very, very well in 11th and 12th. A lot of people are saying that 11th is the best place to start on the grid around here. The medium to soft strategy is becoming quite favored, I think, after the first two races have shown everyone what's possible. And it is a little bit risky. We saw a couple of punctures yesterday, but if it works out, you can manage those tires. Starting 11th and starting on those mediums could really work out. Rackety not up through the first two sectors, but I think he lost a lot of time through the final sector on his last attempt. And, well, this is really his only option if he wants to improve upon his time. So I'll have to wait and see. He isn't going to come into the pit lane in that Renault. And through the penultimate corner, where is he going to plant himself?
An improvement moves him up to 16th position. Jake right now in the Red Bull. He is on a flyer. Who else can we find that's not set a time here? Scars getting a toe down into the hairpin. A lot of people want to see where he's going to land here. The Alfa Romeo has been having a strong qualifying season thus far. See what he's able to do about it here in round 3. Purple through 2 now. We'll see what he can do through sector 3.
Yeah, the two Alfa Romeos really working well together. I think the Alfa Romeos, they've had a lot of confidence coming into Vietnam as a team. So they'll have planned that one since last week. And, well, it's worked out for Crampy, who currently sits provisionally on pole, and his teammate Scars joins him at the top with P3 at the moment. Both Neon and Hurricane are on outlaps, but Crampy about to start a flyer, and, well, Scars just ahead of him on track.
So much action on track right now. Henner's coming out of the final turn. What's he able to do in the McLaren? Does he improve? Well, he's not improved. It looks like he's just going to push the car. That fuel light's on. That's interesting. So he will not be improving. Neon, however, is on a run not too far behind, and we'll see if we get a tow coming out of the McLarens. Ibachini, 6th position as the flag is drawn. 133.753 is what he'll see. That's 6th position here so far. Aliens, 13th so far, 134.347. A lot of action on circuit now as drivers are flying. We're going to take a look on with Mammal. Mammal on his way into the pit lane now. Who will be next? There's a yellow flag through sector 3 right now. That's Darian. He's missing a good chunk of that front right plate. Who's flying through there? That's XTXP. He's on an invalidated run straight into the pit lane. Behind them, an AlphaTauri weltering, and he's on a good run here. So we'll see what he's able to do through the penultimate turn now. The AlphaTauri, he's going to take the flag when he gets to the line. A little bit of a tap coming through. What's he going to set here? He improves by a 10th. It's good for 12th. Behind him, his teammate, Liam. He improves. It's good for 17th position. Behind them, the Haas. I do believe it is going to be Adrian finishing out his run. No time from him just yet, but it's going to be good enough from the Haas for a 135 flat, and he's going to set a time, but it's not going to land him anywhere. The two Alfa Romeos coming into the pit lane and retiring now. Hurricane in the Ferrari. No improvement.
Well, Striff, there's been some drama on this last lap as well. Crampy. We saw Scars lining up on his in-lap to give Crampy the slipstream, but Crampy, out of that roundabout, in through turn 9, slapped his car into the wall, lost an end plate, and that obviously throws the lap straight out the door. But then Neon getting a slipstream from his teammate Henners, then it comes through the final sector and bumps into the wall around the final corner, so neither of the top two improving, and, well, they're safe for now, and I think qualifying is pretty much over, but, well, it could have been pole for Neon, and, well, Neon could have stole it from Crampy if either or hadn't have messed up there. Well, Crampy pretty lucky to be holding on to P1.
That is very unfortunate. I'm sure if there's anything to be said, the stewards will review following the session. Now, that is our grid. We're being told that it is going to be a dry race, and I imagine that's a major sigh of relief, as that will be the 3rd session of dry running we'll see this week. But once again, Crampy on pole position in the Alfa Romeo. The Dutchman of Neon will line up next to him in the McLaren with 2.5 tenths the gap between them. The South African of Scars lines up on the second row with the Hungarian Hurricane in the Ferrari lining up beside him. Jake rounds out the top 5 here. We've got Jones, Kai, Relax, Henners, and XTXP in the band in that top 10 as well. And we'll go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap.
Well, as we load in to what is going to be a very dry race, it's nice and sunny compared to the overcast conditions of qualifying. It's an excellent time to just thank our partners over at Next Level Racing, !NLR or !Next Level Racing. We'll ping up the website where they've got a load of awesome sim racing equipment for beginners and experienced racers alike. So big shout out to them and a big thank you as the session clock has come down at the top and, well, 2 race winners on the front row. So, well, this could be very, very heated between those two, both botching their final laps. And, well, a mistake like that in the race could cost them hugely, Striff.
Definitely. Something that we haven't seen yet this week is safety cars. Safety cars, something that a lot of these drivers anticipate and strategize for. As we get set on this formation lap, we're going to have a look at the tires and the positions of all 20 of these racers. This is going to be a very, very intense race if the past 2 rounds have been anything to go by. Let's take a look. We've got Crampy, Neon, Scars, your top 3 right now. The 2 Alfa Romeos doing quite well in qualifying. They've got a Ferrari barking up their rearview mirrors in Hurricane with Jake there in 5th in the Red Bull. We've got Jones in 6th position, Kai Bacchini behind him in the Mercedes with Relax in 8th, Henners in 9th, and XTXP rounding out the top 10 in the Renault. All of those drivers starting on the soft compound tires. As we move into the back end of this grid, we have Swifty in 11th position. He is starting on the mediums. Behind him, it goes Weltring, Darian Alfie, Aliens, as well as his teammate Azir in the 2 Williams. Mammal 16th in the Mercedes, as well as Liam behind him 17th, Cotters 18th, Rackety in 19th in the other Renault, with Adrian rounding out this grid in the Haas. The only driver in the back 10 to start on something other than mediums is Rackety, and he's opted for those hards that you so chose yesterday, Unicorn.
Yeah, and it can work out, and, well, I was on them for just that anticipation of a safety car somewhere in the early stages of this race, and, well, then it really opens up your tyre choices, but very, very interesting choice. He's down in P19, so he just needs to avoid any trouble that comes up in turn 1. It's possible, but like we were saying earlier, we didn't see anything of the sort go wrong into turn 1, and fingers crossed we see that happen again and everyone keeps it clean. But Vietnam, the turn 1, there's a fairly long rundown to it and such a tight circuit. It's just got a lot of long straights, and one of them is that first straight. Given how far back the starting line is from turn 1, it does mean that everyone can carry a little bit of speed into it, and especially if someone gets a good start, they can be easily 3-4 wide down into turn 1, and that's where problems can arise. But, well, we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. The hards, though, will really give Rackety a bit of trouble in terms of pace in the first few laps. Everyone else on the mediums, though, we should be able to do some damage to the top 10 as it stands right now, and I think the finishing standings will be quite different to what we're looking at on the timing tower right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more as the final driver approaches the grid now. Of course, get those predictions in the chat. Safety cars, podium finishers, we want to see them, but it is the lights on here in Vietnam. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here for Tier 2 racing. They're out, and the drivers are away. What a launch coming off the line here for these front 2 as Neon is already leading Crampy into turn 1. There's been contact, a little bit of debris, a squeeze coming between these 2. Neon losing an end plate. This is Hurricane right now. We're on board with the Ferrari. He's just wrapped Scars through the front turn, or the first turn, excuse me, around the front end, but I'm still focused on Neon right now. What happened to that McLaren, Unicorn?
Well, I'm not quite sure what he did wrong on that start there, but it just seemed like he wasn't paying full attention. Just seemed to drift towards the right, and, well, he got past Crampy, but he just sort of turned in a little bit too much to try and get the racing line, and he wasn't clear Crampy, and it just spun his car a little bit and tapped that right end plate straight off of the McLaren. And, well, that is going to have a huge impact on his race. But everyone else still going. Hennes now, the other McLaren, looking at the rear of Scars. Scars with a penalty. He hasn't had the best race start, but he's going to have a look up the inside of Jones. And, well, Hennes not finding the space on the outside that he needs to get past, and neither making the move on the respective drivers. Meanwhile, XTXP, he's dropped down one place. He's looking to try and get it back on Relax, but Relax, with a better run out of turn 12, has held it. And he might even go and have a look at Swifty ahead. Most people staying close, but Crampy and Hurricane at the front strip really running away with this in the early stages.
Well, Kai Baccini's made up 4 positions. He's into third here. There was something going on between the Alphas and the McLarens. It seems to be like there's a bit of a heated exchange between the two squads in this race already. We're only on lap 1. We're just crossing into the second lap now. Crampy, of course, leading things off. You can see here, there's been a big change in the timing tower due to the desync, but it is still that Ferrari. I just wanted to make sure I've got my facts straight. It is still that Ferrari chasing down Crampy. I didn't see anything happen. We'll get that timing tower updated in a few moments.
Yeah, and the two Williams still looking strong as well. No positions gained for them on that first lap. But, well, actually, I take that back. 4 places for Azir. But they're still doing quite nicely in 11th to top on the mediums. And, well, these are going to really come into play in when those softs start to fall off. And it won't be too long that they have to wait for them. Around lap 8, they'll really start feeling it, those top 10. And, well, if you're a Williams supporter, you've got to be happy with how this race has started for them. Meanwhile, Hurricane still on the rear of Crampy, not yet close enough to find a move, but just staying within him is DRS range, as that will get enabled on the next lap.
Wheel to wheel right now. Liam and Aliens through the hairpin. We're going to jump on with Darian Alfie as he has a little bit of a rear view shot of this. Still wheel to wheel. Liam right now holding on to 11th position. We're going to jump with Aliens here as we go through sector 3. What a crucial sector this is. Darian Alfie is on his tail. Henners has jumped into the pit lane here. Hurricane, a 1:38.092 is now the fastest lap of the session in the Ferrari. He is on the move. Right now, less than a second the gap between him and Crampy. Kai Baccini, 2.2 seconds the gap behind them. And that is absolutely crucial for that front end battle right now. Meanwhile, in the back of this grid, tight intervals all up and down. And as I say that, Adrian and Rackety are wheel to wheel coming through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, a lot of movement going on for what will be sort of these bottom points scoring positions. And Rackety and Adrian behind him, both up 5 places. So neither driver slouching right now. And well, they've been working their way through the grid together. And I probably want to keep this partnership going just a little bit longer. But Adrian won't want Rackety on these hards to slow him down and hold him up, because now Mammal is behind them, Codders as well. Both Haas drivers in this battle, the Mercedes as well. None of them will want to get stuck behind the Renault for too long, and those hards really don't have the pace. They just have the durability to make the hard stop very, very easily. Here goes Adrian, well and truly up the inside. Nicely done move from him, very clean, and well, there's not a lot Rackety can do to defend against that one.
DRS so powerful. We were looking at a couple of the cars going on board, and we went on with Darian behind Aliens, and he is behind Liam with DRS, and that makes it extremely, extremely easy to defend once you're in that train. But of course, it's about how you utilize that battery. We saw the same thing right now behind Kai, between Jake Jones. We've got Scars in on that mixture, and there's little trains all throughout this grid. And as long as there's trains, there's potential for safety cars. And as long as there's potential for safety cars, everybody's still in this race very well and truly. Neon right now is the biggest gap on grid, 13 seconds to Codders in P17. The McLarens not having a good week here so far, despite the fantastic podium drive Dirk Chocolate led them to yesterday.
Yeah, not the race they were hoping for. Obviously, Neon last week's race winner. Chances of that happening again looking slim, but like you said, anything can happen. We've still got a long, long way to go. And if a well-timed safety comes out for the pair of them, then maybe we see something happen for the McLaren squad. But as it stands, the fight for the top points right now is between a select few drivers who have all started to pull away on these soft compounds of tyres. As you would expect, obviously, again, these will start to drop off. But the gap between Scars and XXP right now, 3.5 seconds. And that could really be something as Aliens and Darien Alfie going side by side down into the hairpin. The Scuderia up on the inside. And it looks like he's just about got P11 from the Williams. But Aliens having a look around to try and retake it on the outside. Almost spins it on the curb, but manages to hold it.
I was looking on with the McLaren as I thought he had taken damage here. Aliens right now with a big slide out through Sector 3 here. This might expose him to weltering massively. The AlphaTauri wants to get that position from him now as Aliens has dropped off of Darien Alfie significantly. Weltering could really, really upset this party for Aliens right now in that Williams.
Yeah, everyone right now just sort of holding on to what they've got. Gaps starting to form up and down, and trains as well. Kai Pacini starting to pull away just a little bit from Jake through what would have been Sector 3, where there's no DRS, but now the Red Bull, that rear wing will be open as much as you like, as Kai takes a lot of the curbing through Turn 6. I wonder whether he would have picked up a warning for that one, but Kai, Jake, Jones and Scars all in a battle for what will be the final podium position at the moment. But the top two right now, Harkin and Crumpy, light years ahead of them on track already after just 4.5 laps here around Hanoi.
Darien Alfie zeroing in on Liam right now. He's got a run just behind them. Mammal has a run on Adrian. We're going to see Darien Alfie take that final points position as he moves into the hairpin just behind now. Mammal cruising down the outside on the Haas of Adrian. Big lockup from Mammal there. Adrian gets it round the inside. Does he get this? Oh, what a defense coming out of the Haas, and Adrian has been showing us a lot of defensive prowess in these races so far in Season 4, I have to say, Unicorn.
Yeah, and well, if there's a track to be good defensively around Vietnam, those walls are so close that, well, obviously down that huge straight, there's not a lot you can do, but if you've got the pace down into the hairpin, it is possible to fend off a move, and on a track with so few good overtaking opportunities, a little bit of a tongue twister there, being a good defensive driver can really put you in good stead come the checkered flag.
Mammal not going to be happy with that. He's still one of the closest gaps on circuit, albeit for 14th position. These drivers are on the mediums, and the further they're able to make it through this grid, the better chances they have down the line with all of these soft runners having to come in. And then Adrian right now, he's got this Mercedes in his rear view with DRS. Adrian with no DRS for himself, but he's doing a good job to defend against this Mercedes. The question is, will it be enough coming down into that hairpin once again as we come through that roundabout leading us down the long Sector 2 straight here, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, it's so hard. If the guys just get the run out of that turn there, turn 9, you'll see it in a minute. Kai Vicini's rear wing will just pop open and he will start to just breeze by. He's already so close to the gearbox of, Mammal. Well, Adrian's got straight into the rear of the Mercedes. I don't think that was intentional at all, but he's just absolutely lost an end plate there. Surprisingly, not more damage to that Haas, but really unsettled Mammal's car as well, who is now behind Rackety. And well, a freak incident. Lucky that neither driver too badly impacted, both still driving, but Adrian actually is missing a bit more of that front right wing than just an end plate, so he will be back into the pit lane. Very, very unfortunate incident under braking there from him, trying to get that slipstream, but we'll be in for a fixed wing.
With that, Rackety was able to slide through into 14th position. Mammal now, albeit we were looking on with Darien. Darien had made the overtake on Liam once again into 10th position into that hairpin. We switched back and we saw them coming into the braking zone. That Haas, a little bit squirrely with the debris flying off, and we didn't have a full view of how that incident played out. But what we can say for certain is Mammal is still having to work to get 14th position because of Rackety sneaking through.
Yeah, still no positional changes up between turns 3 and 4, positions 3, 4, 5, and 6, but Crampy has lost the lead for the first time in this race. Hurricane now in P1, and well, Jake may have got a commentator's curse on Kai Bacchini as the Red Bull goes side by side with the McLaren. The Mercedes, Kai Bacchini holding on though to P3 with some very, very good defensive driving. Jake a little bit over the curb, but well, the front guys starting to get a little bit feisty with one another. The tyres, they'll start to be feeling a lack of grip depending on how well they've managed them these past few laps.
This is really costing these two drivers overall to the drivers ahead, and what it's doing is it's really exposing them to the positions behind them as well in Jones and Scars. You see now, Relax. He has come in as one of the first drivers on softs to pit without damage to get off those tires. We'll see where he lands. Kai now, big lockup here. Oh, Jake around the inside now. Oh, Kai managed to power out of that one. Jake really, really wanted a taste, and did that expose him to Jones? Well, he's in this DRS train, Unicorn.
Yeah, and well, Jones and his teammate Relax opting for the medium tire, so I imagine at least one of the Racing Points doing a two-stop. Is Jones going to do a similar thing if this squad thinks it's what is optimal right now? And it depends what tires these guys are going to push for. If they're going for the one-stop, do they risk the mediums? It seems to be the optimal strategy as Jake has a look up the outside of Kai Bacchini. Is it going to be it this time around? He's a lot later on the brakes than the Mercedes there, wheel to wheel. But again, Kai just holding on the inside and stays in P3. And now Jones not close enough to get a look into this battle just yet, but Kai with a little bit of a lockup. It will also be affecting their tyre wear, not only their lap times, so they're going to be wary of that, and this could give Jones the advantage if he's able to stretch these softs just one lap more and get onto some mediums that are feeling a bit nicer towards the end of that race. But it is going to be Jones into the pits first. Both Racing Points have blinked and hopped into the pit lane. Will it be mediums for this Racing Point as well? And what possibly could be a two-stop strip?
Going to be a very interesting strategy call for them for sure. What I will say is this: Jake and Kai so tight right now. You can see Jake just holding on to that rear wing. Scars in 5th now. He'll be happy to be rid of one car for the moment, and he'll be happy to have DRS and staying in this train. That penalty is something that he won't be happy about. Of course, he might be able to go and have that looked at. I think it might be 2 3-second time penalties. Well, not entirely sure what happened with the Alpha in that equation, but with all of the tires being changed over now, we're going to start to see some more overtaking as the fresh rubber moves through the grid. Right now, Jones on the move in 12th. He's looking to hunt down aliens in a short moment. We're still here on with Jake in this fight for 3rd position. Ahead of them, Hurricane now. He's pulled out a 2nd on the Alfa Romeo of Crampy. In that exchange, however, this battle for 3rd has lost them nearly a 2nd in 2 laps to that front end battle.
Yeah, and Kai's still putting on a stellar defense, and he got such a good exit that at a turn 9 that Jake didn't really have a look into the hairpin. So Kai right now seems to be managing the tires just a little bit better than the Swede behind him, who just isn't really keeping up and doesn't seem to have quite as much drive as Hurricane pits out of lead of this race. Crampy staying out, as are Kai and Jake. Scars behind, he's staying out as well. So the 2 Alfa Romeos, they're not going to want to pit on the same lap. They are both being engineered, I believe. So they won't be double stacking, I shouldn't think.
Oh.
So at least one of them going to
phone
lap
right
11.
now. Jones Weltering. That's what it was. I was wondering what was causing that to happen, but Weltering into the pit lane. Jones looked to be making quite a unique move around the outside, but for good reason.
Well, Jones into the top 10 once more with these new pit stops, and all those fresh mediums will feel lovely for him. But how long can he take them? It's not going to be to the end. That's for sure. It would be, well, it could be, but it'd be a very, very hard stint for the Racing Point to pit that early for them. I think what the Alfa Romeos are doing and everyone else at the top there on those softs. XTXP, he's not in the fight right now, but he's also on those softs. I wonder where he's going to land in all of this. He's 5 seconds behind Scott right now.
Well, Jake, he's had a lockup. He's gone into the rear of Kaibachini. He's taken off that front left wing. Just that front left end plate missing now on that Red Bull lockup, costing him not only some performance, but it's cost him a position. Scar's now in a third position, hunting down the Mercedes, albeit with penalties. We have to take our attention to Hurricane and Jones now. Jones, fresh mediums. Hurricane going for a soft, hard strategy here, it would seem. Crampy.
Yeah, Hurricane go for a safe bet.
Crampy, Kai, and Jake all into the pit lane. Jake's going to lose a little bit of time. I'd have to say if the damage was going to come, it came at a unique time. Hurricane now. I think he might have just taken damage on the wall. No, he's fortunate. Front wing's still intact. I heard the bash with the wall.
Yeah, Hurricane taking that safe bet for the soft hards. He's already, losing out on pace there. You can see Jones up the inside through the hairpin, and he wasn't the only Ferrari to lose out either. Darren Alfie got passed by Azir into the hairpin as well. But right now, Scar's still, well, he is leading a huge chunk of the corner, taken out of turn 6. But you've got to imagine he will 100% be in at the end of this lap and join the other front runners on what will be fresh mediums to the end. 2 very hard stints. And XXP already being caught by the cars behind on the aging mediums. But it's going to be Darian Alfie looking at Azir for what will be, at least for a little bit of contact between the two. Nothing causing either one to go flying into the wall though, and the Ferrari is well and truly past, but they will be, at least for a little bit, in lead of this race.
Hurricane getting ahead of Jones as well. We'll see what Hurricane's able to do with the hards in comparison to these mediums on pace right now. One thing to note, Henners and Neon on those very worn mediums now at this point in comparison to the drivers getting onto the fresh rubber. They would really like a safety car right now, and that's something that we still have not seen in Season 4 here around Vietnam. We haven't seen a VSC or a full safety car either in Tier 3, Americas, or yet here in Tier 2. And I imagine there's a few drivers on this grid right now who are just wondering where the heck it's been.
Yeah, we haven't even seen a retirement yet from these guys, and fingers crossed it stays that way, because 20 cars out on tracks always makes the race that little bit more interesting. But Crampy already has caught up to Azir in the Williams, and Darian Alfie as well.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Unicorn. A major lunge coming out of Jake into turn 1 here. A little bit of contact with Neon here. No debris. He unsettled that McLaren.
Really pushing to get up through this grid after replacing that front wing, but he doesn't want to damage it again, being overly aggressive. He's already faced the time constraints of a front wing change as Crampy now on the fresh mediums pops out of the slipstream of Azir, looks to the inside, down into turn 11, much later on the brakes in the Alfa Romeo, and you've got to say that is as well timed as possible. He has just so cleanly gone up the inside there of the Williams. A very nice move, and that gives him the opportunity now to go and hunt down Darian Alfie.
Darian is in trouble here with Crampy behind him, I have to say, because the amount of braking ability in that Alfa Romeo on this fresh rubber compared to what Darian Alfie just pulled out of that hairpin is a problem for the Scuderia. No doubt in my mind. Right now, Azir has Liam 1.9 seconds behind him on the same tire life mediums, but then right behind Liam, he has Hurricane flying in the other Ferrari on fresh rubber. Take a look back now, Crampy, Darian. When is Crampy going to take the lead from this Ferrari? Is it going to be heading into the next roundabout section, or is it going to be down into the hairpin? That is the question right now. Liam and Hurricane, they've exchanged coming out through the second turn.
Yeah, well, Darian's been instructed by those on the pit wall at Ferrari to hold Crampy up as much as possible. Obviously, Hurricane right now on the soft to hard strategy, so the hards right now a lot slower than Crampy's mediums, but if Hurricane can catch up to Crampy, which could be aided by Darian just costing the Alfa Romeo a little bit more time. You can see there Darian defends the inside, forces Crampy around the outside of turn 10, but that gives him what he wants, the inside down into 11, and well, there's not a lot Darian can do. You can be a good tail gunner, but there's nothing that you can do facing pace, but looking back for it, then the inside of turn 12, not going to find it there though. Crampy's traction right now is just impeccable.
It's very difficult to hold up a driver coming down into that hairpin. The amount that DRS can play a role there is massive, especially given the fact that you're already going into that DRS section with such a carry of speed. And we've got a yellow flag through the hairpin. It's a Mercedes. We're going to take a look. It came up. Mammal. No damage on the Mercedes. Not entirely sure why it was sparked down there. Jake on the rear of Neon right now. Still, we saw them come together just briefly earlier. Henner's now holding on to a solo point as Jones gets ahead of Liam into turn 1.
Yeah, and these two McLarens will be hoping that something can get them what they need. A safety car will probably be lovely for those at the McLaren squad. 10th and 11th right now on mediums that have basically been in it since the start, both putting on lap 1 and lap 2 for Neon, or lap 2 for Hennes, sorry. But they need to get off of these mediums, probably for another set of mediums, I'd imagine, unless they can push them to the window for softs. But they'd be hard-pressed to do so. Meanwhile, Hurricane on the hards. It seems that the mediums are starting to switch off. Azir pulling to the inside of turn 10. Not really putting up much of a fight. Not a lot he can do. He doesn't want to lose any time to Hurricane in his battle with Darian.
Ferrari's in a good position right now, albeit Darian Alfie yet to pit in this race. Hanners, Jake, there's a big exchange. Hanners has had an issue. He's had a cook major collision here. Swifty has gone into Henners here, and there it is, Unicorn. That's exactly what some of the drivers on this grid wanted. I'll tell you right now, Darian Alfie's already on his way into the pit lane. Oh my.
Yeah, well, all of these drivers on these 13, 14 lap old mediums, they've just side to side really. That couldn't have come in at a better moment for them. It's going to be hards to the end, which, well, it's not the pace of what would probably have been a medium soft, but you can't say no to a free pit stop under safety car. And look at everyone flooding in strip. Even some of the drivers, some people are going for soft. Jones, Jones is here on soft. Interesting choice from him. Liam as well, and 13 laps on soft.
This pit lane is so busy right now, Unicorn. The entirety of this grid came in. The entirety of this grid, aside from 4 drivers, came in under this safety car. And you know what's crazy about that safety car? We saw retirements that sparked less than a safety car. But here we are. And the entirety of this grid, minus 4 drivers, has taken a free stop. But look at the tires. Look at the softs. These guys are banking on another safety car. Because what do I always say, Unicorn? Safety cars breed safety cars.
I'm not seeing softs. Some people are saying softs to the end. I don't know. We saw punctures yesterday on less risky strategies, and softs to the end just seems a really big stab in the dark.
Well,
Darian had to go for hards, but these guys on the mediums, Kai Pacini in 9th place right now, Neon, his race has just been saved, and Relax as well. These guys are all on for strong finishes.
this has been such a monkey wrench thrown into this race. This has been such a development. This entire grid's about to get reformed. Let's take a look at the penalty situation as we get formed up here. Scars presently is sitting in 3rd position. He's holding on to 2 penalties for which he cannot serve in the pit lane. They are 3 seconds. Adrian, 14th position, all the way back down there. 3 seconds. Cotters, his teammate in the other half, 3 seconds. Swifty, he can serve that 5 seconds. He took that 5 seconds, I do believe, for passing Henners after that collision, which I'm almost certain he can get removed. However, well, it's safety car. He pit under safety car, but he didn't serve the penalty. That's such an interesting situation that Red Bull's finding himself in. But I'm also going to take a look at the position changes here as we look to running now. Cotters is coming into the pit lane. Crampy, he started this race on pole. He's currently leading it. Hurricane has moved up 2 positions. Scars has stayed in 3rd. Jake has moved up 1. Darian Alfie has moved up 8 positions in that Ferrari. Azir up 9 in the Williams. He's 6th. Jones has dropped off 1 in the Racing Point. Liam in the AlphaTauri, he's made up 9 positions as well. Kai is down 2 from where he began in 9th. Rackety, he's in 10th position. He's made up 9 positions. Neon, he's dropped 9. Relax has dropped 4, and XTXP in 13th position has dropped 3 right now. Adrian's moved up 6. Mammal has moved up, it says 1 position here. Henners down 7. Swifty, Weltering, Aliens, Cotters, all down positions here. This has been such an interesting race, and we saw such a difference in strategy of tires forming just in the life of the tires. Debris and collisions and things like this causing drivers to come in the opening stint of this race. Now we've had a safety car, and it's really jumbled up everything. But I have to say, man, these soft runners, I don't know what to say, because we've seen punctures through this circuit already.
Yeah, I'm looking at the tyre situation, and I'm thinking you could pit lap 18 for softs, right? And, well, they're being nursed under safety car right now. So I think they're possible, but I would be very surprised if we didn't see at least 1 puncture from someone trying to take those to the end. Where I'm looking at people who are pretty disadvantaged right now is those who have been forced onto hards. Darian and XTXP are both on hards after pitting in from mediums. XTXP's coming in again, and that is an interesting call from the Renault. I'm not surprised he's in. And this now could be soft from the pair of them. And that could have been, because Hannes is in as well. Neither Hurricane nor Darian is going to do the same thing. And I think it's a mistake for Hurricane to stay out on a 7-lap old hards. He is going to have no pace compared to anyone else on this grid right now. I don't think as soon as the safety car comes in, it is going to be a huge struggle for him to maintain any solid point scoring position, because just look at the tyres behind Strift. But it all depends on what happens in those last few laps. Darian Alfie, I don't think he's as bigly disadvantaged. 2-lap old hards in 5th. Soft runners behind him, their tyres will die off towards the end of the race. There's no doubt about it. Whether they pop or not, that's the big question. But these guys on the mediums, I don't think Crampy, Scars, and Jake have too much to worry about. I still think Kai, Neon, and Relax, though, they're looking very strong to the end of the race.
11 drivers on soft compound tires. I mean, Hurricane could almost gamble a medium switch right now.
I think if Hurricane comes in now, it has to be softs, because his will be fresher, and they are possible to take to the end at this point.
He's so locked into that position, though, because that would drop him all the way to the back end, and then he'd have to overtake in what could potentially be a massive DRS train.
Yeah, I think his best choice is to stay out. It's just super unfortunate for this timing for him. He's got 2 bad options: stay out on the slowest tyres on the grid, or come in and lose what is currently P2 and drop even more positions. So I think he just has to put the defensive drive of his life in. But Crampy, the de facto safety car now, as race control pulls in the safety car itself. Well, it all rests in his hands. He started the race in first. He'll start the safety car restart in first.
Something I think that might be crucial here is for Hurricane to get ahead of Crampy. That might give him a leg to stand on if Jake puts pressure on these guys. Here we go now. Coming out of the final turn, Crampy appears to have slammed down that throttle. Here we go, Hurricane on the rear of him, and it is green flag racing here on lap 18 in Hanoi, Tier 2, Season 4, Round 3 of MRL. And look at this grid, completely tightened up in the form of a massive snake right now. Mammal weltering, wheel to wheel. There goes a big dive coming out of the AlphaTauri. Lock up from him. Mammal looks at him, but he gets things spun around in the right direction just to hold the door closed on the Mercedes. Just up ahead now, Azir already on the rear of the Ferrari of Darian Alfie. Weltering took 3 seconds after exceeding, it would appear. Multiple warnings or something of the sort down from race control, but look at the train in full swing right now. But Azir on these softs, he's going to have a ton of ability, especially on a driver on hards. Darian right now, he's got this William just sitting on that back left. Is he going to have a lunge into the hairpin? This could be what I had been looking for. Does he go for it? Darian's going for it on the Red Bull of Jake. Oh, Jake holds it. This is going to expose Darian. Darian making sure to try and squeeze that gap. Tight racing here. Azir on the inside.
Oh,
Darian.
Adrian and Neon. They've come together. I hate to interrupt Shift, but the McLaren, his race has gone from bad to safe to worse. And he and Adrian picked up a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting, so I'm not quite sure what happened into the
Jones
hairpin.
Around the outside with a big sling up the inside into the penultimate turn. Oh, wow. What a move from Jones there. He is on the softs, but I have to say that is a daring place to attempt an overtake right now. Kai Bacchini is currently following Liam, and they are behind this hard runner, and we've got another yellow flag coming up through Sector 3. That is going to be Adrian. XTXP, Neon, heading into the pit lane. It would appear there was some exchanges on that lap. Mammal, Henners exchanging now as we say it. Mammal into 14th position and up at the front end of this grid. Azir is hunting down Jake right now on these softs.
Liam as well on the inside of Darren Alfie, trying to find it through the runner and not quite getting it done. Obviously, Darren holding his line through there, and there's no space coming out of the turn 8 and into turn 9. Darian really feeling those hards and their lack of pace as Azir sets his sights on the mediums of Jake ahead.
Oh, Liam with an indecisive move. I think he tried to correct his entry into the turn. He slightly tapped Darian, pulling him off a little bit, and this has really brought Kai into the fold here. Kai, out of these 3 drivers, presently I think on the best tires long term. He's going to be very happy to be quite close to these guys right now.
Oh my goodness, Jones with another very, very impressive lunge as he has been looking at Jake, and Jones just comes steaming through on the penultimate corner. No contact, clean move from the racing point, and now he's going to have a look around the outside of turn 1 on Jake, and well, side by side, he might just get the move here. And Jones, what a performance he is having in that racing point in the closing stage of this race. Azir follows him through, but Jake is going to hold him off, but not quite enough.
What racing we just saw coming through the first sector of this circuit. Jones is on a charge. Azir following him through. Jake is not going to be happy about that, and Kai Bacchini and Liam now having an exchange on the heels of the Ferrari. This is going to be a drag race down into the hairpin. I think both drivers are going to have DRS.
Well, Kai's had a much better exit, but you said it yourself, Shiv. Kai is going to have DRS on Darian ahead.
Oh, Rackety, and the Renault's on the rear of Liam now, and he is on softs just the same as Liam. There's Kai. He's ahead of Darian. Darian with a switchback to the inside now. Does he get this move done? He squeezes Kai off to the outside. Darian in that Ferrari through has opened the door for Liam, and he's given himself an element of separation between the Mercedes. Liam now on the inside of the Ferrari. Does he get the move done on Darian? It's wheel to wheel now coming through Sector 3. There's been a big contact. Darian's off. He's taken damage, it would seem, on the front left wing, and that is just such racing we're seeing right now. So intense through this third sector. Liam still holding off Kai Bacchini. He's into the pit lane now. Kai into 7th position, and Rackety is going to take a position here as well. Darian forced to pit as a result, and he takes 5 seconds on the way in. Wow.
Well, the shuffling going on up the front as well. Darian wasn't the only Ferrari fending off attacks. Hurricane had to fend off Scars coming into the hairpin, and now it's Azir looking up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. It's actually giving Hurricane a little bit of breathing room behind him as these two battle out. Azir, I think he predicted Jones tried another impressive looking move into the final sector. Didn't work out on Scars, and Azir found a way through on the racing point. Now they're really using these tyres to their benefit against Hurricane, but Hurricane not in this fight as of right now. Just getting a bit of breathing room, but Striff, all eyes aren't on him, but Crampy right now, 4.6 seconds to the good to the cars behind, and you've got to say, he is looking very strong and has been all evening. As Azir, again, a nice run for his Scars, has DRS, but the softs still in a good operating range, should have traction out of this hairpin, but I don't think they're going to make it to the end, Striff. Oh, and there's a tap! Scars is round, and where's Jones going to come through all this? Azir's let him go. No positions lost for those two, but it's actually Kai Bacchini, I think. Not Kai Bacchini, sorry. Jake and Jones who are going sideways, a little bit of contact. Jones aggressively retaking the position for the Red Bull. Stuart's might have a look into that one, but no real harm done. But Scars and Azir still battling through Sector 3. And oh my goodness, this safety car restart has really provided a lot of drama in these last 10 or so laps of this race.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. We're just, well, Swifty right now, he's hunting down Rackety. They're both on softs, and we've still got to think about whether or not these softs are going to be in a good enough operating range to fight, let alone finish this race in the next 7 laps of racing that we've got here. Crampy's just taking a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to be absolutely massive for the Ferraris as Hurricane is 4.6 out of the gap. Will those hards equalize in pace with Crampy? Will he be able to bring that gap down near the end of this race? That will be a very important question as well. There's still potential for safety car. There's so many different questions you can ask yourself, so many different what ifs and hopes in this race here on lap 22, and what an unfortunate circumstance for the drivers who've been forced to pit after this restart.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another safety car, Strip. I think the battling that's going on, particularly Jones and Azir, as Azir looks to the outside into the hairpin on Scars. Not going to find it. Can he find a switchback with the traction on the softs? But these guys have been battling so hard on these soft tyres that would have been very hard to take to the end anyway. There's surely no way they can take them to the end of this race. Jones has been going for too many lunges. Azir's been wheeled to so many people. I imagine Rackety and Swifty haven't exactly had walks in the park either. So there's surely no way that the tyre wear is just anywhere in their favour. And Hurricane now actually starting to pull out or gap to the cars behind, because Scars, 1.4 seconds out of DRS range on the Ferrari. His hards will be feeling fine. The softs certainly won't be at this stage of the race. And, well, Scars' mediums, 10 laps old, they'll start to be feeling a little bit iffy in a few laps as well.
I have to say, this has really, really been a unique race to watch, Unicorn. I'm looking at the strategy and the outcomes in this top 5 right now, and Scars is holding off Azir right now on these 10-lap-old mediums, and with that, oh, here we have Kai now. He's looking at Jake, a nice and smooth overtake through on the fresher rubber into 6th position for the Mercedes. We'll see if Jake has an answer coming back down into the hairpin, but back to what we're saying with these top 5 right now. These softs are going to die off very soon, and if Scars is able to hold them off just for maybe 1 or 2 more laps here, they will not have the wear on them or the rubber they need in order to fight or to keep up with Scars. Look, here we have Jones now. As you said, he's been doing a lot of work here. He's going to take 2. Scars positioning that car in a way that really makes Jones question that move. He gets out of it. He exposes himself here, and this is what Scars needs to do. He's putting Jones and Azir into a battle and giving himself opportunity to pull away and save a bit here. This is perfect for the Alfa Romeo.
I don't know if something happened in the hairpin between Dirk and Kai, but a yellow flag popped up. And, well, Hennes is now missing an end plate, but Not quite sure what happened between the two of them, but they're 1.6 seconds off the cars, which were in and around them. So a little bit unfortunate for the pair of them, but Hennes with the damage, soldiering on. Just an end plate missing. Seems to think he can drag this car the last few laps with that damage, but it could still see him finish outside the points. He's in 11th right now. He needs to find one more place if he wants to bring home a point for McLaren, and McLaren's point scoring hopes rely solely on him with Neon down in 19th place. Really, really unfortunate race for him. Meanwhile, Jake and Swifty, the two Red Bulls. Swifty coming past Jake, not making it too difficult for him. They've got to be careful of Relax behind. Relax on the best tyres out of these three. I said that he was one to watch with those medium tyres, and, well, he might start picking people off now as his start coming into play. As Swifty's tyres will die out, and Jake's are a little old as well.
Relax in this Racing Point. Really, really starved on energy here. Nothing in it, Unicorn. That tank is dry. The battery is dead. He's going to get a little bit back coming down into the hard-braking hairpin here, but if he continues to exhaust it right now, he's going to put himself into a very unfortunate position. A little bit of a tap coming out of Relax there. Jake getting unsettled. Jake's fine with that, though. He maintains the position and gives Swifty a little bit of breathing room on those deteriorating softs ahead. Oh,
Relax slamming the wall there, and that's an end plate.
Kai's really got to concentrate here. Relax struggling, especially through this sector. He could really land himself in a problem here if he sticks too close. A dive down the inside from Kai. Relax, I don't think saw him there. Turns into Kai, but Kai is back into 9th position. Kai reportedly coming through and having an incident with Jake there. Back into 9th position after we saw him moving up positions quite earlier. Oh, Aliens. Well, Aliens has retired in the pit lane, so he's out of this session.
Yeah, these guys who were looking poised to do well, Kai now, that lunge might have affected his tyre a little bit, and he won't be wanting to pull off too many more moves like that. And Relax dropping another place, this time to Hennes on 7-lap old softs, and Hennes' tyres will go to the end. Pretty confident in that prediction, but Kai now, he's on the rear of Jake, and his mediums are 4 laps fresher. And well, it's not quite giving him the advantage he needs. It's the slipstream and the DRS which is going to give him the move. And as soon as he opens that rear wing, as soon as he enables that overtake, absolutely just breezes past the Red Bull ahead. You can see the other Red Bull, Swifty, going up the inside of Rackety. Both of their tyres are going to be on the chopping block sooner rather than later. 3 laps left, though. I don't think any one of these soft runners is coming into the pit strip. They are all putting it on red, and they're just hoping that it sticks.
Yeah, that is a big gamble for absolute sure. Scars right now, he's got Jones just sitting on him. Scars has that penalty, of course, and that could set him back if he's unable to pull away. We've just crossed into lap 26. That means this is the 3rd lap left in this race.
Kai! Oh, that is not what he wants to be doing.
Well, I can say Rackety has a major front. Well, his entire front wing is he's missing 2 end plates, and I'm not entirely sure what happened. Why don't you give us an idea?
Well, into that penultimate corner, Kai and Rackety. Rackety obviously struggling, 10 laps on softs. And, well, Kai didn't go up the inside, but Rackety a little bit wide. And, well, Kai then sort of switched back and just sort of misjudged it a little bit and squeezed Rackety straight into the wall, and Rackety's car, well, the left-hand side of it went airborne for a second, and, well, that's pretty much the end of the Renault's race, so he will be disappointed with that one. Kai still making charges, but I wouldn't be surprised if Stewart has something to say, but he's in P6. He's not going to be thinking about that now. He hasn't got any penalties, as Year Ahead does. And, well, 3 seconds, Kai will be finishing, as it stands, in P5.
What a race this has been. Darian Alfie has now come into the pit lane, and he has retired the car. And Rackety, Jake now, a little bit of an exchange here. Henry now on the inside of Rackety into the hairpin, and he is doing a little bit of work to try and get himself some points for the McLaren squad. Rackety's saying no. Reports coming out of the Mercedes camp saying Kai Bacchini is not Rackety is not visible to Kai Bacchini in the session, so there is a known desync problem flagging the servers lately. So definitely understandable, definitely unfortunate here. Now Rackety struggling with that wing. Henners is going to take this position from him. More intact, but this is Rackety trying to defend. No end plates. Wheel to wheel through the final turn. Not a lot of turning ability in that car for Rackety. Henners gets it around the outside into 9th for now.
Yeah, well, Henners is damaged as well, so I think Rackety is just looking at how many points can he score, whereas Neon is going and unlapping himself off the race leader. And I don't think Crampy's going to be too happy with that one, but provided that McLaren can get out of his way pretty promptly, he won't be too mad at him, but there's still a lot of jostling for these podium positions. Scars with the penalties, but they're confident they can get him removed over in the Alfa Romeo camp, but it looks like Darian Alfi's car might have just come out of the pit lane to retire. Meanwhile, Kai Vicini has picked up P5 on track and is going to breeze past Azir way before the hairpin. There's not a lot that the Williams can do on tyres, which really are going to start to be feeling like they're going to burst, and a little bit of tap on the rear of Kai, but nothing that sent the Mercedes off course, so they will continue as they were.
One thing to talk about right now is Crampy here on the penultimate lap of this race. He has a 3-second time penalty. The gap is 4.2 seconds to Hurricane behind him. If Hurricane on this final lap is able to pull out a miracle and those mediums have gone off the cliff and the hards are still intact, he might be able to secure a win here, but that is a big, big if. Meanwhile, Scars in 3rd position has been holding Jones in his rearview mirrors for a very, very long time now. Jones on 12-lap-old softs. If we're going to see anything out of these soft tires, Unicorn, it's going to be, I think, Swifty, the driver we look at first. Are we going to see any punctures as anticipated?
Well, Swifty, but Azir and Jones are certainly not clear of the firing line. Those two have been putting in a lot of battling, and I would not be surprised to see one of these tires burst. These Pirellis have been put under a hell of a lot of stress over the course of the last 12 or 13 laps, and they were gambling enough when they came in for them. When they started going tooth and nail with each other, that's when they started really going all in. There's a Renault off. It looks like XGXP's had an issue through turns 2 and 3, and he hasn't had a tyre issue, I don't think, but his tyres are much younger than these guys fighting up at the top.
Jones having that move into 3rd position. But I will say there is a little bit of lag going on in the lobby right now. We saw a bit of a rubber band coming between these two, Jones and Scars. It's unfortunate, but it is par for the course in online racing. Mammal and Rackety having an exchange, and that is going to be a big lockup from Mammal here. Rackety, he did not want to pit with that damage. Rackety right now holding on to the final points position. He also has a penalty advantage over Mammal right now of 3 seconds, and it is going to be Crampy in the Alfa Romeo collecting the race win here in Hanoi. Hurricane, the Ferrari driver, will cross 2nd. Jones will round out the podium in 3rd. What a race that was. Kai Bacchini will finish 4th position here. Scars in 5th. Azir in 6th. Jake will finish 7th. Swifty in 8th. Henners now will cross the line for McLaren in 9th. Mammal will cross 10th. However, Rackety will get him on penalties, and that will be a point for the Renault squad as well. Henners taking his first points of the season, getting 2 points on the board there for the McLarens here so far. Of course, all of the classification is provisional, pending steward verdicts and things like this. The drivers always, of course, have the opportunity to report incidents, steward's review, and then things may get shaken up, and of course that'll be reflected on the standings next week. But what an absolute race that was, Unicorn. We're going to have interviews in just a few moments' time with the podium finishers, as well as a raid for a member of the F1 community. But wow, take us through that one, Unicorn.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible racing. The race at the start was interesting enough. That safety car just came in and spiced things up absolutely monumentally. Crampy, a well-deserved P1 there. He has been on top since the start, and even with what was a scary moment down into turn 1, manages to hold off and just keep himself up for the win. Hurricane as well, a very strong drive, especially with those hard tyres. We thought we were going to see him drop a little bit with the lack of pace, but or the battling behind him seemed to save him a little bit, and then obviously they really kicked into gear. And Jones as well, we saw some impressive overtaking from him in P3. Kai Bacchini promoted to P4 after some penalties given to Scars in his year, so he'll be happy with that one. Jake in P7 and Swifty in 8, double points for Red Bull. And well, McLaren picks up 2 points with Henners and Rackety in P10 for Renault, both teams having a very, very difficult race. And then after that, we've got Mammal, Liam, Codders, Relax, XTXP, Weltering, Neon, and then Darren Alfie, Aliens, and Adrian, the 3 retirements. But, wow, that was really something to watch. And like you said, we'll get some interviews with those drivers who finished on the podium in just a second.
That was just a fantastic race overall. I enjoyed it thoroughly. We are going to have some interviews here in just a short moment, as soon as we can get them into the interview room.
Well, so far, they're all popping in. Maybe when we have to get Crampy, if not everyone else. I think he's definitely online.
Jones is there, so we can get him. There we go. Joining us for interviews, Jones. How you feeling, sir? Welcome to the commentary booth. How was your race? That was a very, very unique race.
Yeah, I haven't really expected this one because I've only trained like 1 hour and a half hour on this track. It's not one of my favorite tracks, but I'm very happy for the P3.
Yeah, it was a very, very unique race. Hanoi, Vietnam. It's a race everybody was kind of, I think, not too keen on driving this week. Would you agree?
Yeah. I haven't expected to be in top 10 actually. My strategy from the start was to qualify P11 or P12 and start on the hard compound, and then go to soft. But after my first lap, I saw I was top 5 or something, and then I just go for another lap, and I think I started P6 or P7.
Very good drive from you overall. There was a lot of fighting, especially after that restart. What was that like? There must have been so much pressure in those situations. Oh, we've lost him. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, Jones.
I'm muted. No, thanks.
There we go.
What was the question? I can't remember.
The question was just that restart. You had so much fighting that you had to do. There was so many different overtaking opportunities. Everybody was so close together. What was that like driving in a group that bunched up?
Yeah, I actually from the start I selected the softer compound, so I could change when the safety car came out. I could go on hard or soft. Then I said I can do it on soft, and then I have to fight for this one because I can get on the podium. It was very tough, and I'm sweating a little bit right now.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview, Jones. We will hopefully see you for another interview soon. Congratulations on the finish. We're going to move ahead now and join our second place finisher. Joining us on the podium once again, back-to-back podium finishes, Hurricane, Forza Ferrari. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I feel good and tired.
Good and tired. Well, I would be tired after taking second position as well. That was a very, very dynamic race. How did it work? Did you have an engineer for this race? Was there a lot of strategy at play?
No, I just bumped it.
You just drove.
My own.
Perfect. That's the way it's done right there. Just head down driving. That's what you love to see. How are you looking ahead for China?
Hard question.
Hard question. Do you have a
I don't know.
top 10? Top 5?
Top 10.
Top 10. Okay. Top
Solid
10.
Top 10.
Top 10 for Hurricane. He's calling it now. Thank you very much, Hurricane. Congratulations on the second position finish in Vietnam. That's a very difficult race to get through now. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
once again joining us in the commentary booth for an interview. This time, well, I guess again, a race winner, Crampy. You're doing a lot of work in that Alfa Romeo. How does it feel, sir? Congratulations. Actually, I'll let Unicorn take this one.
Well, Crappy, congratulations. We'll start with the same question. How are you feeling right now? Your second win of the season in race 3.
I'm just relieved because Vietnam is, I think, to many people, like one of the worst tracks to drive on the game, and it's just horrible. And I was just so relieved when I saw Hurricane put onto hards because I know the mediums are the better strategy. And yeah, that's basically what helped me out the most. But yeah, I'm just really happy.
Well, like you said, it's a tricky track, and it looked like it started off a little bit scarily. Obviously, you started P1. Neon came, a little bit better start, tried to put onto the racing line. What was that incident like? We didn't really get the best view of it. Were you afraid that was going to cause you what could have been, well, what was in the end the race win? But
yeah, I mean, I was incredibly lucky that I got no damage from that somehow. So, and then also, yeah, so Neon was just in the thing VC with me before, and he said that he didn't see an arrow there, which is why he moved across, which is just unfortunate, really, with the game and stuff. But yeah, it's just lucky that I managed to get out unscathed from that, which basically helped me with the win easily. Well, not easily, but easier than it would have been without Neon there.
yeah, well, it was a tricky start to the race, but it didn't phase you. And then obviously that safety car came out. You fairly recently pitted for the mediums. Obviously, like you said, the soft mediums, a very, very strong strategy around here. Were you tempted to go for softs? Were you worried that some of the soft runners might catch you, or were you just really confident in your strategy?
Well, I was just going to the strategy because all the safety car did was help me with my tyre wear so I could push more, which meant that I was able to gap Hurricane by like 4 or 5 seconds. So as I knew I had 2 warnings and I was probably going to get a penalty with how I was driving, but yeah, so it just helped a lot that the safety car came out, really, because the tyre saving was helpful, so I didn't have to worry so much.
Well, you did pick up that penalty, but it didn't cost you the win. Are you looking to make it 3 at China? How do you feel about that track?
Not very well. As well as Vietnam, I thought I was bad at, but it turns out I'm not that bad. But China, I honestly just hate it so much. I don't know why, but it's just a track I don't like. So yeah, I mean, hope for points, obviously. Hope the practice can help me out, but it is what it is. We'll go on to the season forwards, hoping to win both championships, which we can definitely do. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much for taking the time, Crampy. Congratulations. It was an intense race. Especially, I imagine you'll watch it back later on and you'll be happy with this one for certain. Thank you for that, Crampy. All right, Unicorn, that wraps up Tier 2 racing. We are back tomorrow, Tier 1 action. Oh, I'm nervous for that one. That's going to be interesting. We've had our first safety car of the week here in the 3rd race of the week. So with that, we are going to jump out and we are going to rate a member of the F1 community. That is going to be Mr. Lucas Blakely, Formula 1 esports driver for, I do believe they're calling themselves Aston Martin right now. But before that, we are going to hit you guys with the outro. And we'll hope to see you guys tomorrow for, of course, some Tier 1 racing action.